records, there should be a way that a user knows that this information is being revealed to someone. You can just pay a little more than $10 to actually get more very uniquely identifying information. I see a lot of people writing down this website. I can provide you more information about where you can get these types of websites, and we are working on seeing how we can propose why such websites can actually reveal information which can lead to identity theft. So we do have this desired property that the user control and consent should be there in any identity management system. The second one is minimal disclosure for limited use. There are 2 points here. The solution that discloses the least identifying information and best limits its use is the most stable and long-term solution. The first point is that there is minimal disclosure. If you're buying flowers from a flower shop, you don't need to give your phone number or social security number. Phone number is more common. They ask you for it for other reasons. But then we really try to limit the amount of information revealed at any point. The second one is that if you have any information of a user, you'll end up having to secure it or store it in a very secure fashion. So there are lots and lots of news articles that you will find where compromise of information was because it was not secured properly. This photograph out here this was a very popular photograph last year when ChoicePoint had compromised about 160,000 consumers' financial data. And just a couple of days back, I think it had to settle with about $15 million for that compromise. So it can get expensive not to be able to secure such information. The third condition, justifiable parties. Digital identity systems must limit disclosure of identifying information to parties having necessary and justifiable place in an identity relationship. This is a very important point and is well taken by Microsoft as they put the example of .NET Passport. One of the main reasons why .NET Passport did not work is that the users didn't like to go through Microsoft for any and every website that they visit. So if I go to Amazon and buy a book, or I go to eBay and buy some product, why do I have to go through Microsoft.NET Passport? So there has to be the reason of a particular service provider being present in a transaction has to be justified. Okay, so this also leads to the requirement of a decentralized system. You can't have one central party that you totally trust and that one takes care of all your identity information, because it may not be relevant at that for a particular service. Then is the directed identity. It is worded in the paper as follows. A unifying identity metasystem must support both omnidirectional identifiers for public entities and unidirectional identifiers for private entities. What is meant here is technologies like RFID, or you have the Bluetooth on different devices, make you some sort of a beacon which anybody can tune into. So it may be okay for some users to get certain amount of information, but you want only authorized users to actually get some other kind of information which may be sensitive. So it is directed to either everybody or directed to some authorized people. And this again leads to the requirement of authentication, for different types of devices. So those were the 4 desired properties, and definitely we have a much more detailed list which I can provide if needed. So we go to the next thing is to look into what were the different stages of development of identity management systems. Okay? So the stage 1, which was the most intuitive, was that every application for itself. So all the authentication, the logging functionality, everything was done per institution. They did not refer to somebody else's logging logs to be able to make some authentication decisions. So this led to, again, multiple passwords, and which led to another set of security problems. But this was the initial stage, and although there are definitely many institutions which still have every application for itself identity system, it is heading towards something better. And what was tried was the second stage, which was the central authentication system. I would put the .NET Passport into somewhat this category, which has a central authentication system which enables single sign-on. A single sign-on is you sign on once in the system, and then you can be seamlessly authenticated in the different websites. Okay? This was the beginning of federated identity to simplify collaboration amongst different institutions. So there were problems with this, and it was rectified using this particular kind of architecture which we are heading towards. And this is our main focus on how to establish and what are the different types of problems in an identity system of this kind. Here the workflow task automation is given very clearly. The rules and rule-based authorization is defined. There's a system-wide auditing and reporting. This is actually very interesting, where how the history of users' activity at different service providers can affect the authorization decisions at a service provider the user has not visited yet. So how can this information be gathered efficiently? Because remember, one of the most important functionalities of an identity management system is to provide a usable environment. If it is absolutely secure and not usable, then this cannot work. So this system basically gives you federation of identity information. So in the last two slides, I use the word federation. What does it mean? Federation is basically a circle of trust concept. Now this circle of trust is made of organizations which agree on certain policies, on protocols, standards, and how they're going to share and authenticate its users, right? How it's going to share the information, how it's going to store. There are a lot of standards that they have to agree to. This is a real thing. There are a lot of federation initiatives. Two of the popular ones are Liberty Alliance Project and Shibboleth. Liberty Alliance is more of a corporate initiative. It is an alliance of more than 150 companies, non-profit organizations, and they establish open standard for federated network identity. You have several working groups, and I'm working with one very closely for identity theft, and it's a very active group which tries to give you best practices, what is the best way of protecting information, and establishing standards, which is extremely important in this area. Then is an open source implementation of a federated identity management system, which is called Shibboleth. And here more than 200 universities, Purdue included, are members. And we are currently trying to implement this system and even extend it later to be able to share resources, information from different universities. So if I want to access a digital library from IU, and or maybe some resource, some network resource, then I should be able to authenticate in a manner which is very easy. So basically, the point of these two of this slide is to show that they are initiatives which actually implement such a system. And Shibboleth and Liberty and the other initiatives are working on interoperability using the security assertion markup language, that is a SAML 2.0. So I would now like to describe further the actual step, the protocol taken for an identity management system. In this case, the Shibboleth implementation at Purdue. So what does this Shibboleth implementation provide? It provides a set of network services that support the federated authorization and authentication model. So it gives us an architecture, and it gives a set of protocols which is based on SAML. And it emphasizes the privacy and the trust management. And we are currently looking at how we can provide accountability in the system and extend it to use it in grid systems. There's a big TerraGrid project here at Purdue where we are trying to see how the Shibboleth can be used. If there are any questions, I know it's halfway through, but if there are any questions, please let me know. You can just raise your hand. We can discuss one particular point. So, what are the main players